You can get my free recipe book on my website, Ms.FitVegan.com. Click the link in my bio. It's 100 recipes, all raw, no dehydrator required, no psyllium husk and fucking nonsense. No dehydrator, no oil, no salt, no processed sugar, no weird shit. It's totally free. You can click the link in my bio. If you want the hard copy, you can go to Amazon, but I'll send you the ebook version for free. Yes, totally free. And then we have a list of all the things that I recommend to eat and I don't recommend to eat. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you. Did you text him? You have his number? Thank you so much, Sarah. You're amazing. Wow. Because I emailed him and messaged him here, and he doesn't seem to know how to read his messages on Instagram. So we're going to try. I don't know if he's ever gone live before. Maybe this was a mistake. Thank you so much, Sarah. Oh, my God, I love you so much for this. If you can send him the link to this. I sent him the link as well. But back to my book, which is a list of all the foods I recommend, why I do not eat salt, all the condiments, and the different spices I recommend on a raw food diet. Thank you, Sarah. Oh my God, you saved the day. Sarah's saving the day, guys. Check out the Vegan Wellness Retreat. That's where I met Doug for the first time this past summer. He's amazing. He's taught me so much. We had a great time at the retreat. And yeah, hopefully we can get it together. Also, my new Food Addiction Freedom course starts on October 1st. Hey, Tessa, if you want to make up for what you did at the workout today, go message Doug Graham, please, and let him know that I'm waiting for him live on Instagram. So my Food Addiction Freedom course starts October 1st, and we have 2 spots left for 2 lucky fruity cuties. It's women only, and what we're going to do in this course is I'm going to take you through 6 full intensive weeks of one-on-one and group coaching with me. You get my phone number. You get unlimited FaceTime and Zooms with me. You're going to text me every day what you're eating every day for 6 weeks. You are going to finally get the accountability that you need. You're finally going to get the support and guidance and accountability. I think Doug Graham has just joined us. I'm not sure because I don't see his photo, but maybe this is a new account. Did somebody create a... Okay, let me invite... I'm excited. Let's see. Don't know. Can you guys hear me good? Is everything okay? Ooh, hey.
That was easy.
Is this your first live, Doug?
Pretty close.
I think your first one was with me like 5 years ago, maybe. Okay.
Well, this could be my second live then.
Oh God. Thank you so much. See, I knew it would happen. That's why I stayed live. Oh, I'm so happy.
Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Yeah, I've been looking and just not, hate to say, not finding.
Here we are.
But I kept looking.
Here we are.
Hi,
Okay.
Jeannette. Nice
Hi,
to
Doug.
see you.
Nice to see you again. We met for the first time in Michigan. It was amazing. You're amazing. And I'm just so grateful to you. So let's dive right into this because...
Did I tell you the Misfit vegan story already?
No.
So I was at the UK Fruit Fest about 6 or 7 years ago. And there were 5 astonishingly fit individuals there, like international class athlete fit, and they were all female.
Wow.
And I invited them to do a workout with me each day. There was a gym on site, so I invited them to do a workout with me each day, and I called them the Misfits.
Oh no.
I did. Had never heard of Misfit Vegan. And since they were all vegan, but we called each other the Misfits because there we were with 200 people. And this was me and the 5 of them were the fit ones. We didn't really fit in. We fit out.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Because that's why I made it. Because we're misfits in society.
Yes, exactly.
You get it.
I get it. I love your wordplay. I
Thank you
love
very
your
much.
wordplay.
Thank you very much. And also, we're fit, but we're also fit, and we're getting fitter every day.
I'm going to the Worlds next week.
Whoa. Okay,
It's
explain
coming.
to everybody what that is. What is that?
Well, I'm a power lifter as my
Mm,
new sport. I did 30 years of cardio, ultras and sprints and 10Ks and marathons and a bunch of ultras too, and triathlons, and did a lot of cardio. And then finally decided, as I was doing more and more consulting and less physical work with individuals, as a chiropractor, I retired from that. And so I said, I got to do something for my strength. And then I met this guy who said, well, look into powerlifting. So I went and did it with him and really liked the challenge of the precision required. I love precision. So I competed just for my own self-betterment. I
mm.
trained for my own self-betterment. And finally they said, oh, you should compete. And I go, oh, really, compete? I mean, come on. And but then I did. I went to a competition to see how the referees, what they thought of my style and technique, and was I doing everything appropriately. And I really liked the nature of the competitions. Everyone was there to do their best rather than to beat other people. They were all very
Mm.
supportive and there to do their best. So I kept powerlifting, and 3 or 4 times, I'm not even sure how many times, but all through my 60s, I qualified to go to the British National Championships. But I never went because really I wasn't competing for that reason. I was training and for my own strength and betterment. And then last year I won the nationals. I went to the nationals and won, and didn't go on to international competition. And sometime during the point of this year, it just, I got tired of being asked, if raw food is so good, where's all the champions?
Mm.
How come all the top guys in every sport, they're not raw
Yeah.
vegan? And
Right.
I go, well, there's like a couple of thousand raw vegans in the world, and
Right.
and 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 out
Right.
of those couple thousand, how many of them are doing all raw all the time? That's another level. Um, I said, so out of 8 billion people, if you got a couple of thousand and a few hundreds that are at the right age and whatnot, I mean, it's a very small pool of people to expect them to rise to the top of every sport. Um,
Yeah.
and I just kept putting it on other people, waiting for those champions to rise up. And finally, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go to so this year I went to the nationals again, and I won. And so that qualified me
Wow.
for going to the World Championships of Powerlifting. So I'm going to go. I compete on the 10th of October at the World Championships.
Wow.
My intention is getting on the podium. That'll be a good start. Um, I mean, I would love to win. I also recognize the world's a big place.
I love it. I
But
love
even
it,
just going
Doug.
on the podium, it just gives people one more thing to point to. I actually had a power lifter yesterday ask me, where do I get my protein? And I go, really? It was a power lifter that's going to Worlds with me, another person going to Worlds. And I go, really? Like, you think I'm having a shortage? I'm going to World Championships in powerlifting. I mean, this makes me, for people my age, I'm among the strongest in the entire world. You think I'm lacking protein?
What did he say? Is that what you said, right? And what did he say?
Yeah, I explained to him, I get every cell of everything alive has protein in the amino acid makeup of the nucleus. The DNA is all protein. That all the beasts of burden eat plants, and they're the strongest animals, the strongest creatures. They all eat plants,
Yeah.
um, and he wasn't trying to knock it. I didn't feel threatened. I really felt like he was wanting to understand. So
Yes.
I was kind. I think kindness is an important part of an answer,
Yeah.
although sometimes I get a little facetious.
Sarcastic. I like your sarcasm. I love it. I love it.
Well, as long as it's not belittling anybody,
Right.
I'm all for it.
Because
Yeah.
the truth is, Doug, right? Like most people actually don't know. Like they're not trying to be condescending. They actually don't know where do you? Like, how are you alive? So, by the way,
Yeah.
remind us, how old are you, Doug?
I'm 72.
Wow, 72, competing. I guarantee your
Yeah.
72-year-old father or grandfather wasn't competing. Okay, people
No.
out there watching shit,
No.
right? Okay, so now do me a favor, please. Let's dive into supplements. My new
Sure.
quest is to, and I'm so grateful for you because you taught me so much, Doug. Let's
Oh,
start
bless.
with, no, really, you taught, all of us so much. And one of the things that you taught me years ago, it was so great. You said, because you have these great sayings that I love. They're simple, they're easy to know, and they're
Like
truth.
you. You have so many great things.
Eat fruit, be cute. That's all I do. But listen, you told me that if it can't go bad, it already went bad, right? You
Yeah,
said that
for
many times.
sure.
You said the more simple the meal, the better you'll feel. That's amazing. Now, if it can't go bad, it already went bad. So I have these lemons.
So the
Oh
so
yeah.
the greater the shelf life, the smaller the health life.
Ooh, somebody put it in the comments below. That's the new one. That's the new one. Because Doug, when I heard you say that about, 10, 15 years ago about it can't, if it can't go bad, it already went bad. Okay.
Exactly.
Like fruit goes bad. Look at this. My lemon went bad. That
They
means
do.
it's a food. That's why I was really like skeptical on these supplements. So let me ask you about, let's start at B12. This is like the number one thing that people are afraid not to take as a vegan and a raw vegan. There's so much fear. So let me ask you, please, where do you get your B12? I have to laugh when I ask because it's a question I would never ask, but people ask you and me every day. Where in the world do you get your B12, Dr. Doug Graham?
It's a really simple answer, and it's a great question, and it's a relevant question.
Yes.
Um, and before I answer, I would like to go back to your lemons.
Yes.
Why did it go bad? What actually happened? What's going bad mean?
Mm.
It means there's something living on the lemon, some kind of mold or bacteria or something, whatever that stuff is. It's living there and it's getting sustenance from the lemon. So things that don't go bad won't support life any longer. They might have at one point when people say, oh, it's from this or it's from that. But by the time it won't go bad, by the time it has a long shelf life, this means that not even microbes can live on that stuff or live off of it. And the reason I bring that up is to tie it into the B12 answer, because no humans, no animals, and no plants make B12. B12 is a complicated substance. It actually forms from two separate parts in human beings. One part is manufactured on the lining of the stomach, a little patch of cells on the lining of the stomach, kind of like the little patch of cells in the pancreas that makes insulin. There's another little patch of cells in the lining of the stomach that makes what's called the intrinsic, meaning it comes from within, portion of the B12 molecule. That intrinsic factor, what's the right word, mixes, commingles, joins together with an extrinsic factor. And when the two mix and mingle together, they become a molecule that we know as B12. So that's where I get my B12, is from extrinsic factor and intrinsic factor mixing. Now, it's possible for a person under tremendous stress to have adverse functioning or poor functioning compromised function of that lining on the stomach, because the stomach and digestive and emotional stresses, stomach's definitely involved. And it can, or people get tummy tucks or things done to their stomach. It's cut in half.
Or they eat processed foods or dead animal body parts that
All
can stress
sorts
out
of
the stomach
things,
too.
all sorts of things that can
Yes.
stress it out and
Yes.
adversely affect that production of intrinsic factor. That is possible.
Mm.
Hence, before antibacterials and antimicrobials and cleansing what would we call it, obsessions really got going back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when there were no vegans, or at least no self-proclaimed vegans. There might have been some people that didn't eat animals, but very few. The first several thousand, I'll have to look up a number, but the first several thousand, maybe the first 10 or 20,000 people diagnosed with B12 deficiency were not vegan in any way, shape, or form. They were eating a standard Western diet of the time, of 100 years ago. In today's lingo, what that translates to is, and has been proven, is that if a vegan or a raw fooder goes B12 deficient and then says, oh, I'm going to start including meat, that won't help in any way, shape, or form, because animals don't produce B12, and eating meat won't help. You don't get B12 from meat. You get it from extrinsic factor combining with intrinsic factor. So the real question becomes, where do you get your extrinsic factor? That's the question for the second half of this decade. Where do you get your extrinsic factor? And it turns out that extrinsic factor is found in places where there's microbes. Why? The microbes work in the same way as us, in that they metabolize their food and they do their metabolic processes. They do all the things that living organisms do, right? They respirate and they eat and metabolize and assimilate and they excrete waste products of metabolism. In people, we call that poop, and in microbes, we call it waste products of metabolism. It's microbe poop, basically, bacterial poop.
Yes.
And there's more than 100 different kinds of microbes whose waste product of metabolism contains extrinsic factor. Isn't that lovely? And we find those microbes like at the stem of an apple, where it gets a little dirty, where the stem just attaches right in, where there's a little dirt in the apple built in. That's not all bacterial poop, but a lot of that is dirt from bacteria, and some of that is extrinsic factor. No plants, no animals make B12. You can't get it. Oh, could there be, people find a little bit of B12 on a mushroom or something? Yeah, because there's dirt, because there's microbes. It's not from the fungus, it's from the microbes. It's the only place it comes from on planet Earth. So, where's a microbe's favorite place to live? Someplace warm, wet, dark, and sticky. So, human mucous membranes. So the correct answer, when I'm asked where do I get my B12, is I just took a dose of B12. That's where it comes from. Human mucous membranes. At the risk of being
It can't be that simple. It's too simple.
at the risk of being ever so slightly suggestive.
Yes. I'm scared.
Girls have mucous membranes that are accessible.
Okay, we can infer.
Okay, and those mucous membranes are rich in B12.
There you go, guys. There you go, men. You want your
Exactly.
B12.
If you want B12, you know where to get it. That's the truth, though. That's the absolute truth. Now, if you want some backup on that, a little more solid, I think the book is Spiritual Nutrition, Gabriel Cousins. He wrote all this down in very clear fashion.
Wait. But Gabriel, hold on. Gabriel Cousins, doesn't he recommend a B12 supplement?
Maybe, but in the book,
Now he does.
well, now, I mean, now he sells supplements. That's a different
Oh.
story, but that's a different story. That's called selling out. Yes. The
Good
truth
point.
didn't change, though. The truth didn't change. And in his book, he explains very clearly that the microbes that live on human mucous membranes, especially in the nasal and throat, every time I swallow, like every time I swallow,
I love
I'm
it.
swallowing a little bit of my own mucus, and it is laden with bacteria. And the bacteria poop contains extrinsic factor just waiting to get to my stomach and combine with the intrinsic factor to drop down into my small intestines where it will meet the absorption sites for B12.
Yes.
That's a different question, however, than the one that I posed several different doctors this year, and I keep asking, and it turns out doctors are actually as good at giving slick answers as politicians.
Yeah.
So I asked a doctor, actually just the other day, as a doctor, if I recommend a medicine to a patient that doesn't need that medicine, would that count as malpractice? Certainly, if I withhold a medicine that they need, that's malpractice. How about if I give them one that they don't need? And he said, that wouldn't be malpractice, that would be unethical. Which I think is very close to one of the parameters that defines malpractice is unethical behavior. So for me, I learned when I went through my medical training that anytime I give any substance, force, influence, any condition even, that a client doesn't need, that a patient doesn't need, that's unethical and it's malpractice by design. So, I can't in good conscience tell everyone take an iron supplement any more than I can in good conscience tell every guy get his testicles cut off and every girl get her breasts cut off because someday they might go cancerous and call it, oh, that's preventive medicine. No, it's not. That's not preventive medicine. And I certainly wouldn't recommend radiation or chemotherapy to somebody who doesn't have cancer in advance of them having it, any more than I can recommend B12 supplement to someone who fails to show symptoms of deficiency. It's not insurance to take B12 in advance of having a problem. The very act of taking it inactivates some of the mechanisms that allows the human body to manufacture it from extrinsic and intrinsic factor. It's creating a dependence. And it's unethical to recommend a supplement, even a supplement, before it's required.
Whew.
Now, there was a gentleman by the name of Herbert Shelton. I'm sure you've heard of him, a father of natural hygiene. And when he was asked, where do you get B12? He was in the middle of a lecture, and someone just shouted it out in an audience. I heard a tape of it, an audio cassette of it.
Wow.
And he didn't miss a link, he didn't miss a stride, right? Like he's in the middle of one lecture, somebody says, where do you get your B12? And he just said, lick the sidewalk. And then he continued going on with his other presentation. Because the correct answer is dirt.
Yeah.
That's where you find microbes, is in dirt. So this cleaning obsession can be carried too far, much like in War of the Worlds, where the Martians came and they couldn't live because we had microbes that they weren't used to. Or the Europeans came to the North American side of things and killed off all the Indians unknowingly with their diseases that the American Indians had never seen those microbes before. So they didn't have resistance. To me, taking the supplements in advance, not a good way to go.
Amazing. You answered so many of my questions before I even asked them, Doug.
Thank you.
Wow. Sorry, continue.
You want me to go on? I could go on.
I know you could, actually.
But you probably have other things you want to ask.
I do. I have a whole list. Doug, I have a top 10 list.
I've got time for you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Come on.
I'm so grateful for you. Now, just thank you for existing, Doug, because when you speak, it makes me, and I've been raw for 15 years. I'm still learning, and I'm still getting confident and comfortable in this world, which tells me that I'm crazy. The world, Doug, people are watching just like me who are being told you're being irresponsible. I've gotten so many messages from raw vegans, long-term raw vegans and plant-based doctors saying I'm super irresponsible for doing these interviews, asking people about supplements and, you know, people that don't take it. You're my fifth or sixth person. And it's like, I'm being irresponsible, but you just said recommending things are irresponsible. So like,
yeah, I think that's irresponsible.
How do you live in this world as a fit, healthy, raw vegan that is going against what everyone else is saying?
By example. I live by example. I lead by example. I live by example. I live to my heart's truth. And let me go on record, because I know I get misquoted a lot. I'm in favor of supplementation when supplementation would be useful. You come to me with all the symptoms of iron deficiency. I mean, you got 15 symptoms and they all smack of iron deficiency, including that you recently took up 200-meter running and you've been getting ready to set the world on fire with your incredibly intense 200-meter runs. And all of a sudden your performance just dove, just took a nosedive. And I go, okay, well, I check your blood and it's sure enough, it's showing very low iron. Yeah, and you've got all the deficiencies of very low iron, all the symptoms of deficiency. And you go, smart move would be to take a supplement right now and get out of that danger zone, rebuild your iron levels, buy yourself some time for figuring out what happened so that it's not a recurrent problem ever again, which might require a little bit of lifestyle modification or food style modification or training or more likely recovering modification, so that all goes right as well. And save a life by supplementing with iron for a short period of time, maybe 3 months. Or iron's very slow to rebuild. B12 is very quick to rebuild. I've seen people with B12 deficiency who basically had no more symptoms within 48 hours of supplementation. So that's very
I've
quick.
heard of that. Yeah.
That's very quick compared to the 3 months or 6 months of taking iron, which is a smart thing for the body. Okay, B vitamins, and to some extent even B12. These are water-soluble vitamins. Every time I urinate, I pee out some of my B vitamins, any excess I might have. We don't store B vitamins. A little bit of B12 you can store, but most of the B vitamins, no. And they're stress vitamins, so we need them often. Okay. And yet iron is just kind of the opposite. Take too much iron, absorb too much iron, and you get into worse problems than deficiency. So the body protects itself by absorbing less and less.
Yes.
If you take 10 units, you might absorb 9. If you take 100 units, you might absorb 10. If you take 1,000 units, you might absorb 11. You're training the body to throw off iron by taking more and more and more. You're better off taking just a little more than you need and be patient that it's going to take some time. It just does.
So that makes so much sense. May I
So
please?
I'm not against supplementation in and of itself.
In emergencies and with deficiencies.
There's a time and a place, and it's a wonderful world that we live in, because 200 years ago, supplements didn't exist, and they couldn't save those lives, and people died.
Yes, yes.
From all sorts of deficiencies, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But let's understand also that most of the malnutrition, like I've been told about 90 to 95% of all the malnutrition in the world is malnutrition of excess, not deficiency. And if you look up the definition of malnutrition, it includes deficiency or excess of any individual nutrients, or combination of nutrients.
Oof. Yeah, wow. Did not know that. That makes sense, though. Excess. We're obsessed.
Nature set it up for us in a way that I call Goldilocks nutrition. Right? It's not too much. It's not too little. The best nutrition for humans is not more. We don't need more. What we need is the right amount, and that's in fruits and vegetables.
Okay, may I please ask you, Doug, before we get off the B12, you don't have to comment if you don't want to, but I'm getting this question almost every day. So Dr. Tim Trader is like the one long-term raw vegan that got a B12 deficiency supposedly and then supplemented, but now it's too late. What are your thoughts on that? And again, you don't have to comment if you don't want to, but I get this question every single day.
Wow. Lots of long-term raw fooders go B12 deficient. Timmy is not the only one. I've known Tim for almost 40 years now, since 1988. I started talking to him in 88, and he came and lived with me.
Wow.
In 1990 through 92. He lived in my house. So I know Tim pretty well, and we've been friends, and in fact, he's godfather to my daughter, Francesca. So we're close. I know most of the inside story. And it is possible to ignore B12 deficiency symptoms to the point of having difficulty reversing those symptoms. Typically, this only happens for one of two reasons. Either the person is really out of touch with themselves, or they're philosophically opposed in some way or another to doing something about it, or they're trying to do the wrong thing about it. So There was a guy named Johnny Love Wisdom. Do you remember Johnny Love Wisdom?
No.
No, he was a raw fooder back in the day.
I could tell
And
by his name, Johnny
yes,
Love Wisdom.
Johnny Love Wisdom. And he lived in Hawaii and he lived on fruit and he went B12 deficient and he philosophically opposed to doing anything about it. Fruit will solve all the problems. And fruit wasn't going to solve that problem. And he ended up with some symptoms, neurologic symptoms that made life worse for him, that could have been avoided by supplementing for a short period of time and resolving that problem. I've met several other people who have done similar things. I have met at least two in the Essene movement. If you're familiar with the Essene Gospel of Peace,
Yes.
There's an Essene movement, and I've met at least two people in that movement who just said, no supplementation, no supplementation. And I'm going, if I couldn't see well, I'd wear glasses, and if I couldn't hear well, I'd use a hearing aid, and if I'm cut and I can't make the bleeding stop, I'll put a Band-Aid on it rather than ruining my clothes. And
Right.
And there's so many little things that, no, I'm not opposed to. There's a lot of people living what they call natural, and they've lost sight of the idea that intelligent choices, that's the way to go. Intelligent choices. If I go, no, I'm never going to use a cell phone, it's an unnatural thing, well, then this conversation wouldn't happen. I'm not going to use lights or heat my water ever. I'm just going to, people say, I should go move to the tropics. Well, I've lived in the tropics. I like the tropics. But me dropping out of society is nowhere near as valuable to the world as me staying right here and reaching out day after day after day. And I bless you. I bless you. I mean, I see you come up on my Instagram channel many times per day, right? You're posting like crazy, and bless you for doing it. I think it's really great.
Thanks, Doug.
Sure enough, I'm not doing it.
Thank you for doing what you're doing, because without you, I would not know what to do. So
it is possible for B12 deficiency symptoms to progress, because we're talking nerve damage. It's possible for B12 deficiency symptoms to progress to the point where they won't regress and you gain back. But a tremendous number of people have regained everything that they lost and more. I've certainly seen that many, many times. People who couldn't even hold their own balance anymore, and now they're doing very agile things after a little bit of appropriate care, which might include supplementation.
Yes.
So there's two kinds of people. There's those that are philosophically opposed and the people who are way out of touch. The people who are way out of touch typically are alcoholics and drug addicts. Or the children thereof, who can't yet express themselves. And that's the sad part. They can't yet express themselves to their parents, and they're being ignored by the parents and not getting the care they need. And so sometimes you'll see children of alcoholics and children of drug addicts who will go B12 deficient. But it's not an uncommon, or it's a common problem amongst the people in that phase of life where they're alcoholic or drug addict, living in the streets and not taking great care of themselves.
Yeah. So, okay, to wrap up B12, what you said was, if you were bleeding, you'd put a Band-Aid on it, which means B12 supplementation, and maybe all supplementation is for emergency purposes only. Would you go on record saying that?
I'd say pretty much all drugs are that.
Yes.
not just
That makes
supplement.
sense. That now it makes sense because yes, there is a time and a place for emergency action, right? Massive action, immediate supplement. That makes sense. But millions of billions of vegans, well, I don't know if there's billions of vegans, but millions of
That
vegans.
day is coming. That day
Yes,
is coming.
yes,
You and I will live to see that day.
yes, yes. And now we have
Well,
millions of
I will.
vegans.
I don't know about you.
Okay, Doug. Well, I'm not competing, but let me take some
So
B12. Hold on.
T.C. Fry?
Let me
You
take
know
some
his
B12.
work?
Yes, yes.
T.C. Fry. So T.C. Fry came up with a great phrase, crutches cripple.
Ooh, I like that.
Now, when I need a crutch, when it's going to be valuable to me, I've just broken my leg and I
Ooh.
need to get around a bit, I can use a crutch. But if I use a crutch all the time, that leg is going to wither and die. Crutches cripple.
Yes, 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 yes,
If I'm
yes.
taking insulin all the time, my own body's ability to produce insulin goes down. If I'm taking salt all the time, my own body's ability to produce the hormones that regulate salt and blood pressure in the body, I lose those hormones. It's called aldosterone. When
Mm,
and on. Same thing with B, C, D, E, F, G, all the supplements
yes.
or any other meds. Take high blood pressure medications, you lose that regulation mechanism.
Crutches cripple.
Crutches cripple.
And I'd put a Band-Aid on it. That is, when you said that, it hit, that was it. I'd put a
It's
Band-Aid on. Yeah, you're bleeding, put a Band-Aid on it.
not worth dying
Why
over.
would you put Band-Aids all over your body if you don't
In
need them?
advance, I might get
That's
cut
what we're
later.
doing, Doug. That's genius. You're a genius. Okay, let's move on
So
to
are you.
no. Yes.
So are
Yes.
you. And
In my own
listen,
fruity way. Okay,
please argue for your greatness, not for your smallness.
thank you. Yes, you're right. You're 100% right. Okay, let's move on to, well, please, let's not, we don't want to spend too much time on protein because it is just so unbelievably ridiculous.
Okay,
But
protein is for growth.
yes,
Babies are growing like crazy till they hit their teens or 20s or whenever the growth stops. But the fastest growth spurt known to man happens between the age 0 and 1.
mm,
And at that time, most babies are nursing 100% on mother's milk, and the protein content of mother's milk is 6% of calories.
6%. Mm.
6% of the total calories. There's
So,
almost a fair bit of fat. There's almost 50% fat, and the rest is carbohydrate.
so
But it's
my,
only
yeah.
6% protein, and that's
So,
plenty of protein for babies to grow.
yeah.
If I took all the fruits and all the vegetables in the world and threw them in a bag and just took them out randomly and ate, I'd be getting somewhere between 7 to 8% of my calories from protein. That's enough before I include any nuts, any seeds.
Mother
I'm there.
Nature, apparently Mother Nature knows what's best.
I already
Now,
figured that out. Yeah.
I don't, yeah, you and I were the only two at the retreat we went to that weren't eating all the nuts and seeds. I noticed, I saw what you were eating, and I was like, ooh, let me stick to what I'm
They
doing
had
because Doug is
jackfruit. Why would I be eating nuts and seeds?
mamey, jackfruit. Yeah, yeah, great. Yeah, why eat this survival food when I can eat thrival food, right? So I noticed I was watching you getting the mangoes, and I was like, oh, yes, okay, he's doing it. He's getting good results. I'm going to keep doing it too. Okay, so the question about protein is because we all know the protein myth is a joke. That's why we're watching, that's why we're following you, right?
That's
We
just
all know that.
marketing. That was just good,
Marketing.
really good marketing.
Good marketing, right. So, but the question is, okay, there are some raw vegans taking protein powder
Isn't
and
that a trip?
recommending raw vegan protein powder. And
Mhm.
my question is, what are your thoughts on that? Raw vegan protein powder.
Well, okay. Um,
Do raw vegans ever need protein powder?
no, never, ever.
Even older women who are losing bone density every single year, even if they work out and
They're not losing protein. They're losing calcium.
mm,
And taking calcium won't stop the calcium losses,
mm,
in fact. But no, they certainly don't need protein. That would be like That'd be like, I'm hungry, I'm going to breathe a little bit more. That'll make up for it. I mean, you're losing calcium and taking protein. They're unrelated. In fact, protein actually drives calcium out of the bones. Excess protein drives calcium out of the bones. Do they need protein? No, they never need protein powder. What's interesting to me is how in 1980, I got into Amway. And good or bad, I got into Amway. And I was only did it for a couple of years. But the people I met doing Amway, it was the only thing they could talk about. They kind of lost track of everything else in life. And that was part of the thing that I wasn't happy about that thing. Like get a life. There's a whole life out there besides making a living and turning everybody onto Amway. Okay, so, and I've seen this over and over again, that people who are very interested in nutrition, know a lot about health, and then eventually get into raw food, get so excited about raw food that they forget about all the other basic tenets that they already learned, like whole food being the centerpiece of all other nutrition. It's the hub of the wheel of nutrition is whole food. And there's nothing whole about raw vegan protein powder. I mean, it was whole food at one point until it got refined. Well, at that point, we're just selling refined food. And I find it interesting. I want to relate this to one other thing. There's a phrase called empty calories. You know that phrase? What's empty calories mean to you, Jeanette?
Junk food, processed foods,
Okay,
empty calories.
okay, those are examples of empty calories. But if you were
Okay.
going to define empty calories.
A waste of digestion. Empty calories is there's no nutrition in there. Right.
They're
Yes.
calories stripped of their associated nutrients.
Yes. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, it could be partially emptied calories or completely empty calories, but it's calories stripped of their associated nutrients.
Mm.
And how to empty calories in terms of great nutrition? Where would you stack empty calories from 0 to 10 on the list?
Zero.
Zero. Empty calories provide calories, but no nutrition. And of the 500,000 or 600,000 known nutrients, all of them are part and parcel of utilizing and assimilating those calories. It takes thousands of nutrients to properly use the calories that I consume. And you list empty calories pretty low on your list of nutrition.
Yes.
Okay. So that's like sugar and white flour, right? White sugar, white flour.
Yeah.
Those are empty calories.
Yeah, for sure.
And how about oil in a bottle?
Empty calories.
It's just calories. It's just
Yeah.
pure fat. In fact, it's so pure that they sometimes call it virgin, meaning there's nothing else. There's nothing else in it but fat. And then sometimes they even call it extra virgin. I don't know if they have any of those in Miami, but
No.
okay.
You'd be hard to find one of those here.
It's hard to find an extra virgin. So now we go on to protein powder. What's in a can of protein powder? Just protein.
Yeah.
It's a calorie source, protein. And what are the nutrients that are in there?
Protein. It's just protein.
That's a calorie source. What are the nutrients that accompany it? None. Does that count as empty calories?
I would say so.
So we've got raw vegans who they think they're knowing a whole lot about nutrition, and they're promoting the health building qualities of empty calories. Now flip the whole thing on its head. What would be the opposite of empty calories?
Fruit and vegetables.
Okay, full calories would be one way of saying
calories.
Okay, that would be the opposite. That's like fruits and vegetables. But there's a different opposite. What else could be empty? Nutrients. Wouldn't empty nutrients be nutrients without their associated nutrients?
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of nutrients without their associated nutrients?
Well, do you mean like
I mean like B12. Any isolated nutrient
yes.
is a nutrient without its associated nutrients. They're empty nutrients, and they're just as health destroying as empty calories.
Yeah.
In both cases, what we have is laboratory created foods. They call them foods, laboratory created substances that have an unlimited shelf life.
Wait, but it says it expires in a year.
Okay, of course, because they need you to buy more. Do you really think it expires? Like, how can it go? What could go bad?
It already went moldy. Bad.
Yes, exactly.
What could go bad? It already went bad.
And so we come full circle very quickly. Yes. Which means you created a good line of questioning. Well done.
Yes, thank you. I need to watch this again. Now, listen. Let's move on to vitamin D. Thank you so much, Doug, for this. Vitamin D, especially D3, is another empty nutrient that we are obsessed with as raw vegans, and we have to get it. And if we don't live in the tropics, then we are, susceptible to being vitamin D3 deficient. So it's important that we take that. What are your thoughts on taking a vitamin D3 supplement as a raw vegan?